Welcome to the POMcast with Stephen Willis. Now we're going to do things a little different. We are going to provide an honest look at Ole Miss athletics for the fan, by the fan, and of the fan. Hell be to me. I'm just kidding. Tune in for some Ole Miss sports news. We're going to give it to you straight. Yeah, right now. The POMcast starts now. It happens now. Holy cow. Listen to me. It's starting. Well, it's going to start right about now. Good morning. Hope everybody's doing quite well. I'm doing quite well. I hope you're doing quite well. Welcome to the POMcast. I'm your host, Stephen Willis, right here coming at you from Positively Ole Miss. And as you will see a little bit later, we're expanding our brand. Corey Burton from the Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast will be on a little bit later live on the show. We're going to talk a little spring football. And we're also going to talk about how my announcement and his announcement can work together a little bit and, work to provide a greater reach to your audience for, in his case, less money. So that's pretty good. We're also trying to get other podcasts to come on board, and we can just be a one-stop hub for all of these places. You can just go to one place, spend as little time as possible, and get all the relevant information. That is the plan for this, and we'll get into that in just a little bit. Tonight at 4 o'clock Central, 5 o'clock Eastern, Ole Miss versus Central Florida. The Doug Nikhazy Redemption Tour kicks off tonight after the start off in Arlington, Texas. I'm expecting him to do quite well because he's a good player as it is. I'm just joking about the Redemption Tour, but that will be available for him to show off to, I don't know, any doubters that he might have, but he'll be a Friday night guy. He'll probably pitch pretty well. But if Ole Miss wins, if they sweep this weekend and win the midweek next week, they have tied the SEC record for consecutive wins. And, I mean, it's a pretty good position. And let's see, got a message from Corey. What do you have to say? All right, he's got the video link to get into the show, so he'll be able to do that in a little bit, so sorry about that. Also, Saturday, Ole Miss versus Vanderbilt, 2:30. We're going to hold a virtual watch party, me and Chris Thrasher. We're going to watch the game, and we're just going to evolve it as we go. We did our first virtual watch party against Missouri. We're going to do one against Vandy. We'll probably do one in the midweek against Kentucky, and then we'll probably do one the following Saturday against Vandy. We don't do virtual watch parties for baseball right now because the games are 4 hours long. And we're just trying to ease into this, and that's a large time commitment. In basketball, we can kind of plan for content for 2 hours and do that. But we're going to evolve this as we go. Baseball is subject to review for content as we move on. Right now, I don't know if we're going to do it this weekend for the weekend series, but we could just do it for the midweek, but the fifth inning check-in and the reaction. But if it happens, it will come up. That's pretty cool, and you'll be able to get an instant reaction before anybody gets out print stuff. It'll be right there on air for you, which is pretty cool. And let's see, what else? I'll get to my announcement in just a minute. But before we get going, Vanderbilt, Ole Miss Saturday, 2:30, Memorial Gymnasium, Nashville, Tennessee, SEC Network. Memorial Gymnasium has been a house of horrors for Ole Miss for a extremely long time. It's just a weird place to play. The thing that holds up the basketball goal is weird. The floor is raised up like 6 feet in the air. It's just a weird place to play. It's all set up a little bit differently. And Vanderbilt being down the last few years, I mean, things have gotten a little bit easier, but it's still a hard place to play and a hard place to make shots for a team that is not consistently making shots. So, I mean, Ole Miss could come out there and just run it. Ole Miss could come out and shoot the ball extremely well, look like they did earlier in the season and their ranked wins, or they could come out and just not be able to hit the ocean. I don't know which one it's going to be. This is one of those games, win by 1 or win by 50, it doesn't matter. Not even a little bit. It doesn't matter about style points. It doesn't matter about anything. What matters is the fact that we play down to our opponents or up to our opponents. They are currently determining how well we play. We swept Missouri while ranked. Our first sweep of a ranked team since the late 90s. So it doesn't happen very often. It's like 23, 24 years ago. It's a cool little stat. But you can't do that and then turn around and play down to your opponent. So we don't want to mess around with a 6-12 Vanderbilt. So we need to run. We need to drive the paint and not focus so much on outside jumpers. I do fear for Jarkel Joyner. It might all work out for him. Now, I'm not doing all that. It could work out for him, and he could see it very well and shoot very well. But Memorial Gym has traditionally been a difficult place to shoot the basketball for Ole Miss. And, I mean, that happened all the way up until, Marshall Henderson probably. It's just been a difficult to play for Ole Miss. So keep that in mind. Vanderbilt, a week later, comes to Oxford. They're the makeup game the following weekend that Ole Miss got against Vanderbilt. So apparently the SEC office decided that Ole Miss needed a win instead of a Tier 1 opportunity. They put LSU against Missouri, so Missouri will get a Tier 1 opportunity because they are tail spinning at the moment. And they could play their way out over the next week or so out of the tournament. So the SEC helped them out, LSU versus Missouri. Ole Miss gets Vanderbilt with just a win opportunity because they know, we know, everybody knows the best case scenario for Ole Miss is to beat Vanderbilt, beat Kentucky, and beat Vanderbilt. You have to win out with that schedule. You've got teams with losing records all 3 games. You need to win the games. And at that point, you're 16-9 going into the SEC tournament. Get the first game in Nashville or wherever it is. And there you go. That is the way to move forward. I think 17 wins probably gets you in the NCAA tournament this year. With the lack of non-conference games, Ole Miss losing like 5 games, normally that'd be like a 22, 21 win team. So if you win out, Ole Miss is, I think, let's see, they're 8-7 now, 3 games, 11-7. 11-7 in the SEC should be good enough to get you in the tournament. Period. End of story. Not saying they will. But they should be able to. Now you go through, in baseball, we talked about Doug Nikhazy. He needs to rebound. The bullpen, I'd like to see a little bit of rest and save them for later in the week because Gunnar Hoagland and Derek Diamond, one of them two are going to struggle in their games eventually. You'd like to have the arms. We can't do a long relief opportunity on Friday and use up our best arms in that position. Kel Baker looked good Wednesday night. JRP hit a bomb. So it'll see. What happens tonight? Is Kel Baker the first baseman, or does it go back to Trey LaFleur? Or, I mean, what's the situation there? Trey LaFleur looked very good his opening weekend, but Kel Baker hit a bomb last night. And does Ben Van Cleve go from DH out because now Kel Baker's DHing? Who knows? TJ McCants with that hamstring that kept Pettin Chatney out of the game Wednesday. TJ McCants could be in line to see a good number of time in a weekend series this weekend. Between him and Jacob Gonzalez, the middle infield is just solid. So I'd like to see them against Friday pitching. I want to see TJ McCants do it again. Just kind of stack performances on top of each other. And I think it's possible. I mean, we need basically 4 wins. And everybody everybody's like pointing out why are you set on 4 wins? It's like anytime you can get the all-time winning streak record for a conference, that is a cool stat. Ole Miss at 24, even tied for it, that is a cool stat because Ole Miss being in that conversation is not something that happens very often. But you have a chance, a legit chance, over the next 4 games to get to the tie mark, and then you go into the weekend series. Now, let's see. Let's see who Ole Miss has. Coming up in the weekend series, so we can kind of game plan this as we need to. Let's see, Ole Miss schedule. They play Memphis Tuesday night, and if they sweep UCF and beat Memphis, they have a game on March 3rd against Jackson State that could break the record, and they got a series against Belmont. And awkward. I mean, this could continue, guys. I mean, it could legitimately continue. Now, one of them is going to jump up and probably get us, but I mean, if you can get past Memphis, you have a real chance to make a little bit of noise. And that'll take us into the start of SEC play, which is mid-March. But if everything goes right, Ole Miss could be 32 to 35 game winning streak. That's crazy. They should still be number one in the country. They'll be basically undefeated at that point. And going into SEC play, they 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So it's 19 games into the season. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to happen. It just could happen. I mean, that option is on the table. There's also the option that Ole Miss could lose 7 games of those. But, I mean, it's more fun to root for the other side. So, that is kind of cool. But Ole Miss playing for the all-time consecutive wins record in the Southeastern Conference. If they can get through Central Florida and Memphis, they got 4 tough ones. If they get to a tie, the hard part of the non-con is over, and then you've got JSU, Alcorn, Belmont, Louisiana Monroe, La Tech. I mean, that's not exactly a scary lineup coming into basically Oxford, Mississippi. So that is pretty cool. I am fixated on that one because we are now within spitting distance of an all-time record in the Southeastern Conference that if we could get it would be pretty cool. It just would. This Ole Miss team has not lost since opening day last year. To put that in perspective, Positively Ole Miss was started 2 weeks after they lost to Louisville. So this podcast, the entirety of it, and this TV show and what we're doing now and what we're going through has never seen Ole Miss lose a baseball game. That is a pretty cool stat. And, I mean, you just really can't beat it. Anyway, announcement time. We are looking at, let's see, what's the word we're looking for? We are creating hubs for content. We have created a Willis Digital Media Twitch page and YouTube page. Where that's going to come in handy is one thing we're planning on is producing the Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast. So we're going to do video. We're going to dress it up like this. They signed on for it. And we're going to produce it. Corey is one of the members of that show. And he also helps us out with football. He's on around the SEC. But we're going to produce something for him like that. So that's the Willis Digital Media Twitch page and YouTube page. Go there and subscribe because that place will hold all the content. not just Ole Miss. So whenever we get up and start doing our Disney tours and things like that, that will be available for you. Believe in Georgia Dogs. We're trying to get other Ole Miss podcasts to come on, and it's pretty cool. But anyway, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, Corey Burton coming in hot, going to drop some knowledge about spring practice, give us a Georgia update, and things like that. Anyway, stick around.
You want to answer that, don't you? I bet it's just killing you seeing the soft glow just inches away. Someone wants to tell you something or ask you something. Oh, come on, answer it already! Just so we're clear, that wasn't my fault. Next time, ignore your inner voice. Don't text and drive. A message from Florida's trusted choice independent insurance agents.
Hey, this is Stephen Willis. I just want you to stick around a little longer. We're going to get back to the podcast right after these messages.
Tonight, nearly 40,000 veterans across the country are homeless. These men and women have pledged to serve our nation, and now we must serve them. Landlords across the country have helped make significant progress in reducing veteran homelessness by making housing available, but there is more that we can do to bring our veterans home. Visit www.va.gov/homeless to see how you can get involved. And if you are a veteran and you are experiencing homelessness, please call 877-4AID-VET. Thank you.
All right, welcome back to the POMcast. We're going to bring Corey on in just a second. We are basically waiting for him to get in. We're trying to get him into the show. He's trying to log in at the moment. So if we have an issue, we'll let you know. And I may need to create a new session. That's fine. So let's see. Click copy. Just a second. I will be right with you. All right. I will say this. I am not a huge fan of Windows mice. I have basically a wireless mouse and keyboard set from Microsoft, and it's just a problem. Let's see. Okay. Send this real quick. This is the beauty of not having an engineer, basically doing everything yourself. So, live output from that. There we go. Okay. We'll see. Corey will be here in a second. We're going to talk about basically Georgia spring football. We're going to talk a little bit about Ole Miss spring football. And we're going to talk, what do we need to see from each team going into the football season. There's Corey right there. Can you hear me, Corey? All right, just a second. Let me get you in and all right. Corey Burton, assistant coach, Hillwood High School, was also the host of the Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast with Israel Troop over on the Believe Network. I think we're going to be doing something in the near future together, collaborating. How you doing, Corey?
I'm great, man. How are you? We're finally back in the school building. If you notice my change of scenery behind me, we're finally back in in-person learning here in Davidson County, Tennessee. So we're good to go, man. How's things going with you, man? I like the set, man, and I love the shirt.
Oh yeah, you like that? That's pretty good. That's kind of been my thing on this show. Is I've got a bunch of kind of unique shirts of Ole Miss fandom, and I just wear it every day. I've got one that's got like a fake button of Archie Hugh and a picture of Lane Kiffin and like a whole bunch of stuff like that.
I like the Lane Train shirt I think you wore one day.
Yeah. That's kind of my shtick. But I told everybody today. I don't know if I've even told you. We've launched for next week Willis Digital Media for the hub for both Ole Miss and other than Ole Miss. I mean, places to live and to stream and everything like that. So I figured you'd be interested in that.
Yeah, that's great. The POMcast and then Odom, other than Ole Miss.
Yes. Yeah, and we're going to work on this. It's all been built. We're trying to get people to subscribe to it and everything. But
Good.
once you guys come on and once others come on, it'll be a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, I think the two flagships for other than Ole Miss is going to be Believe in Georgia Dogs, and then of course our show around the SEC with you, me, and Jeb. So I'm excited, man. I'm all for it, man. I'm here to do whatever I can to get this face out there, man. So yeah, our show, Believe in Georgia Dogs, were brought to you by eBay and BetOnline.ag. So I'm sure they would love to see all the web streaming and stuff like that. So that'll be good. Believe Podcast would love that as well. I need to hook you up with Jordan Dollinger. She hosts the Believe in Ole Miss show on our network. So I need to get you hooked up with her and have her on this on your POMcast too. So
yeah, absolutely. Anybody that gives away free content and does things like that, there's no such thing as an enemy. There's no such thing as a competitor. If you block access and charge access to it, I have a problem.
Exactly. And so I think, just getting your brand out there, getting your name out there, and same for her. She's still a startup show. She's had some great guests, and she does a great job with her show. And so it's good to see. I've got some really good Ole Miss content. So if I ever become a secondary Ole Miss fan, which until they fire or get rid of Lane Kiffin or if he leaves on his own, I'm kind of hooked after doing boot camp the offense.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And other than the starting quarterback, I mean, me and Corey, if you go back and listen to it, we pretty much nailed what the offense would look like, what they were going to try and do, and things like that.
Yeah, and I see that you went with your dream of calling the recruiting guy the recruiting czar.
Yes, I've always wanted to do that. It just sounds right to me. Darby does a great job on our show with Ole Miss recruiting. This week has been a little bit weird, but we've got a little Oxford correspondent and a recruiting czar at this point, and we're also looking for other people to come in to take ownership of stuff.
Yeah, I think Jordan could be somebody that could do that as well, coming from the podcast end for her, and she might be able to hook you up with some good guests as well too. So I will connect you two after we're done here, and I think she'd be a great guest. So what else is new, man? What else is going on here?
Well, Ole Miss getting ready to start spring practice. Spring game is April 24th. The virus numbers are dropping off a cliff. It seems like all good things and a very rosy outlook, especially for the fall and beyond.
Absolutely, man. I'm all for it, man. I just whatever we can do to get butts back in the seats and create these home field advantages within the SEC and just get a positive, safe environment for these players to play in as well. And I think the best of both worlds is going to be great. And I think that it's going to put a lot of people's minds at ease if there's some sort of normalcy. So whatever we can do to achieve that, we're already doing, it seems like, with the numbers going down, but also I think there's a lot of good positive things going on.
Okay, let's just get into it. One thing I wanted to do today, since spring football is about to start, and we're both kind of football guys, what's one thing that you're looking for from each team? So we'll just start and kind of do alphabetical. If we miss one or get them out of order, I mean, it's not our fault. We're not sticking to it. But like Alabama, what are you looking for from Alabama?
Looking for what they do at quarterback, what Bryce Young can provide there. How do they replace that receiving core? Do they reload? Is Mechie going to be as good as Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle? Defensively, on the back end, you got to replace Patrick Surtain, who's going to be a first rounder. And how do you do that? But, it's just going to be for Alabama, how well can you reload? And can you reload and work these freshmen and these young guys in there to play at a high level that you're used to?
Yeah, with Alabama, I'm looking at how well they can replace the production of Najee Harris. He provided a little bit of an extra gear that Alabama hasn't had in a little while, and it will be interesting to see what they do in that room.
No doubt.
What about Auburn? Brian Harsin, what are you thinking?
Just implementing a system. See how fast they can pick it up. I mean, it's just like any new coach. How quickly does your culture take? Can he get Bo Nix on board? Can he find some sort of production in the passing game, offensively, defensively? Can he keep the same level of performance on that side of the ball? And how do these coordinators, Mike Bobo and Derek Mason, how does he interact with Mike Bobo, with him being an offensive guy, and then what kind of controller aspect does he do with Derek Mason to figure out how that dynamic works?
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to how extreme was Gus Malzahn's system, and can it quickly adapt to the Brian Harsin pro-style spread system? Or is Gus Malzahn more of a service academy type thing?
Yeah, I'm definitely with you there. I think it's going to be some adjustment. Brian Harsin uses the tight end a lot more than Gus Malzahn did in the passing game, and they, the receivers have different responsibilities and different skill sets that they need. So there's going to be some adjustment there. But I think he's got the right guy to work alongside with Mike Bobo, because Bobo's going to bring the pro style side of it in, and Harsin's going to blend the spread side of it in, and I think they're going to have a good system there.
Yeah. Arkansas, they had a heck of a year. They got a little bit of few wins. They got a little bit of name recognition. They've kind of running the Ole Miss version of the spread light with Kendall Briles. What are you looking for there?
Can they keep it up? How do they replace the production at quarterback? Who's next in line behind Felipe Franks? Who's going to take over the rushing burden from Rakeem Boyd? How do they replace some of those playmakers? Treylon Burks also. How do they get that production to the same level and better than they did a year ago?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see year two in that Baylor system, and Kendall Briles actually staying for more than 1 year. That's actually a rarity, and it would be nice to see the continuity and what he can bring in that situation. Let's see, what's next? Is that Georgia? We got Georgia.
Yeah, let's go with Georgia. Georgia defensively, how's the secondary going to look? There's lots of young guys battling, some of the early enrollees. Nyland Green is looking like he's going to be the guy. They're saying he has some it factor that's just beyond anything else. Jalen Kimber and Keely Ringo, those are three young guys right there. They're going to compete for a lot of playing time at two cornerback slots, and then there's some other guys in the mix as well. But how's this secondary gonna shake out, losing all the talent that they lost with Stokes, LeCount, and DJ Daniel?
Yeah, and can Kirby Smart take his hands off the offense in order to protect the defense? Turn Todd Monken loose and just deal with the defense and make it the best case scenario there. Let's go to the University of Florida. Pitts, Trask gone. It kind of looks like more of a running spread with what's his name, Emory Jones. Mm-hmm. It could be interesting.
You're going to see a lot of what you saw at Mississippi State with the option stuff with Emory Jones, because if they try to do what they did with Kyle Trask and Kyle Pitts and that whole crew, you're going to see what you saw in the Orange Bowl against Oklahoma. It's going to be ugly. They just lost too much production there, so they're going to have to kind of shift focuses. And you have Emory Jones who can do a lot of that stuff. He's more of a dual threat guy than Kyle Trask, and I think you're going to see a lot of what Mullen did with Dak Prescott and Fitzgerald at Mississippi.
All right. Looks like we lost Corey. He's absolutely right. And Dan Mullen has basically at this point a little bit of a trap. Does he try and find the next Kyle Trask and turn him loose? Does he go dual threat? Does he try to straddle it between the both? That is going to be available to him either way. But if he tries to shoehorn personnel into an offense, it's not going to work. It never works. It's problematic. Let's see. Let's shoot a message to Corey. And we'll go on from there. Next up is LSU. LSU dealing with the Coach O fallout from last year. They definitely did not look the way that they needed to look. And that was a problem. They got Max Johnson coming back at quarterback, and they've got some pieces in place, but their defense is kind of like bouncing between systems. And they tried to do it last year, and that caused all kind of problems to go from a 3-4 to a 4-3, just because Coach O is familiar with a 4-3 defense. That's what he is familiar with. That's what he knows. He used to sat in the room with him when he was on the phone with Pete Carroll way back in the day. So, let's see. Corey just refreshed. Let's see. When Corey comes in, we should be able to hear it in just a second. Basically, with LSU, I really don't know if this year is the end for them. This is the end for Coach O. You got the national championship, but just the struggle going down. I mean, I don't know if a team that won the national championship dropped off so far in 1 year. Now, granted, they lost a lot, but yeah, I mean, it's a problem. Let's see. Let's see. Basically what we have is we have a program that is real similar to Zoom that allows us to bring people in and out really quickly. Looks like it is hung up at the moment. So I don't want to, as a part of learning about the system and what we're doing, I don't want to do something on air that's going to blow up the stream. So I'm just being really careful with it. And let's see. Let's see. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to delete a shot. So. Window, rendezvous dashboard. Okay. This is what we're going to do. We are going to go to the main camera, and then we are going to blow that up. See. And then we'll get back into our preview. That should be fun. Podcast Network. All right. So we did through LSU today. We'll do the second half sometime next week, maybe next Friday or something. We'll get into Mississippi State and Ole Miss. I don't want to hold you too long. We're already over 30 minutes. So I don't want to take up too much of your day. But for Corey Burton, I am Stephen Willis, and I will see you next week.